Well, whether it's the past or present, they all seem to find their way home. Take a look.
I'm sorry about last night. I should have stood up for you and Mom.
Yeah, you've got enough going on. It's hard to imagine you back in '74. Mourning an uncle I never even met.
You would have loved him. He had this life of the party energy that was just infectious. But he was also really kind. He cared about his friends. He was something.
Kind of wish he'd rubbed off on my dad a little more.
I don't want to defend anything that your dad has done, but he was there when it happened, Elliot. He watched someone he loved die. You don't just come back from that.
Okay, and joining us from the hit series The Way Home, please welcome Evan Williams. So great to see you this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so for someone who hasn't seen the series, I guess, first and foremost, right, and just kind of looking from that clip, how would you describe it to somebody?
I would always say that The Way Home is kind of like This Is Us meets Back to the Future.
Oh.
Yeah, just to, undersell it a little bit.
So talk about your character and how the storyline lines up.
I play Elliot Augustine, who is a high school science teacher who was told by a mysterious time traveler back in 1999 that she was the daughter of the woman he was in love with. And he says, did I end up with your mom? And she says, no, you're just my science teacher. So he had his future told for him.
Oh.
Okay.
And so now flash cut to the future, to the present, and all of a sudden this time traveling person shows up in the present time, and he realizes that the whole time travel knot is beginning to unravel. So it's a complex show.
Yeah.
It's a show that Hallmark has never made before. It's a total soft pivot for them, and it's a complex and rewarding, heart-centered, challenging, beautiful, mystical, any other superlative you want.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful show.
I like the idea, yeah, time travel, but not the normal time travel, because there's so many different shows, I guess, that involve, they're just kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
So how does this differ?
I would say that a lot of other time travel shows are very sci-fi based.
Yeah.
Right? They're kind of techie, kind of nerdy, whereas this is much more heart-centered. So I've been trying to make cry-fi happen.
Cry-fi.
I like that.
I like that.
I want to put it on a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
But that's just interesting, because you said this is something that Hallmark has never done before,
Yeah.
but it still follows the themes of what Hallmark shows are like, right?
Absolutely.
The hope,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and it follows this sort of central themes. Like it's a show that's not going to be traumatizing to the audience, and audiences now by the third season of the show know that they're safe with the storytelling and that we're going to take care of them. But also we're not going to pull any punches with some of the themes we got into. Like we explore grief and we explore family trauma and things like that, but in a really healing lens, and also with this beautiful time travel mystical element that is like a wish fulfillment. Like who doesn't want to go back and meet their parents when they were
Yeah, I want to
you
know.
what I
Were
mean?
my parents really who they say they were?
Yeah.
Right,
Were they behaving
right, exactly.
like they say they were?
Yeah.
But your backstory wasn't really revealed in the first 2 seasons, right? So we're kind of going to find out more about you this go around. So what are we going to find out?
Well, Elliot's sort of like an onion that is, when you peel away the layers, it just gets more and more complex. And Elliot's dad shows up, and he's kind of an unsavory guy. And we get some insight into why Elliot Augustine is the way that he is, and also some healing, hopefully, that can help him metamorphosize into the man that maybe he needs to be to get the girl.
Yeah.
And maybe just to help the whole Landry family. He's there for the women.
Would you want to do this in real life?
Time
like
travel?
go back in time? Backwards or forwards?
Oh, definitely not forwards. No, I think I would like to go back a number of different periods, but it's difficult because you don't want to wreck the space-time continuum. And my character's always on about that. He said, like, it's dicey. You know, you could make one little move. You could turn left instead of turn right, and all of a
And
sudden...
you could not be born.
Yeah, you don't exist anymore. So we got to be careful.
Oh, so you believe in like the whole, if you could really ruin it.
Who knows? I mean, in this show, one of the catchphrases is, what happens will always happen. And the question is always, if you're going to go back in time, are you going to try to change what happened, or are you going to change your relationship to what happened?
Okay.
And that gets kind of deep into the psychology of the characters, and I think that's why audiences are so fascinated with the story.
Yeah, people are really pulled in.
Yeah.
Outside of this, what are you up to?
Well, I'm a musician as well. And so I have a music project called Bright World, and I'm actually going to be releasing new music in a week or so. And I've had the opportunity to cross cross-pollinate the work a little bit. And at the end of season 1 and on the way home, I did a cover of Cyndi Lauper's "Time After Time."
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
wow.
put that on the show, and now it's streaming all over the place. So yeah, it's nice to do everything creative.
What's your genre of music?
I'd say like kind of indie folk, and this new
Very
music
cool.
is like leaning in more sort of lo-fi, electro indie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. I just have a question about the time travel part.
Yeah,
Sorry to go back.
let's go back.
Well, only because you mentioned Back to the Future, kind of, and they had the DeLorean. So in this show, is there an actual device that gets you back?
I wish it was a DeLorean because you could just get in and get out.
Right.
But we use a pond, and it's a pond that sort
pond.
of our main heroine finds by accident and falls in and finds herself in another time. And so now every time a character has to go through time, they have to jump into the pond, which means that our crew is
Oh my
so
gosh.
specific about how wet a person is, and they can always tell, like, is it post pond 1 or post pond 2 or post pond 3, and it's got to be very specific because if you let those
Jeez.
details slide,
Yeah.
the whole thing can fall apart. And you
Yeah.
can break the show without knowing it. So it makes the show really intentional. And but that intention really makes it rewarding for the audience.
Love
Yeah.
it.
And I'm sure the audience is watching very closely
Oh,
to
they
say,
are
hey, you
watching
know
so
what? I don't know if
close.
that was really going to fly.
People are watching and rewatching and
Look at
rewatching.
that. That's
Never would have
great.
expected it for a show like this.
Good
It's so
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you so
I like
much.
the suit too.
Thank you so much.
It's a good suit. You can watch The Way Home on Friday nights on Hallmark Channel, streaming on Hallmark Plus as well.